What's up YouTube? Capital G here, checking out the first revealed cards from the brand new Dawn of Majestic's core booster set. This of course is going to be the booster set that comes after Lightning Overdrive, and we got ourselves a synchro focused set. It is Yusei's time to shine. Looks like Konami is bringing back the old Majestic Star strategy. If you guys remember, that was the cover card of Stardust Overdrive, and Yusei also used that during the Darksiders arc to beat Kiryu. It's been a little while since we've gotten ourselves a synchro focused set. Savage Strike was quite some time ago. I actually feel like this set is probably going to be insanely good because the last two sets, Blazing Vortex, Lightning Overdrive, not very good sets in my opinion. So I feel like we're actually due for a broken set, and I feel like this is probably going to be the broken set. Anyways, we got a bunch of cards to talk about. I'll basically just summarize them as I put them on the screen to save a little bit of time. We have a new version of Majestic Dragon. Now, Majestic Dragon was necessary to summon like the Majestic Star Dragon, which kind of was weird and I didn't like that, but you know, that card didn't have an effect. This version, the Wish Converging Dragon, actually has an effect. It has the same restrictions where it can only be used for a Majestic Dragon. Its name becomes Majestic Dragon, so it basically power creeps the old one. The most important thing is its actual effect is when you draw it, you can special summon it, and if you have a level 8 or higher Synchro Dragon monster, you get to summon a level 1 dragon from your deck. So obviously, Konami wants you to have, you know, ideally like Stardust on field, special summon this guy, special summon another dragon from your deck, and boom, you can instantly go into the old Majestic Star Dragon. Now, I would probably, like, I mean, if I gotta go in for that, that's fine. Majestic Star Dragon did have Omni Negation, and it did nuke your opponent's entire board. I believe it was 4,000 attack off the top of my head. So basically, this just kind of power creeps the old Majestic Dragon. There's basically no reason to ever run that card. And there are some ways of stacking your deck with the new support. So this card's kind of cool. We have Stardust Synchron, which is basically just kind of like new Stardust support. It just helps you go into like level 8s a lot easier. These new cards, like the new level 4s, they allow you to special summon themselves from your hand or graveyard if you tribute a monster. So definitely not that hard to fulfill that condition. This one is specifically a level 4 and it's a tuner, so that's obviously kind of useful. This one searches any spell or trap that has Stardust in its text. Now, it used to just be pretty much like Starlight Road and that was it. I mean, I guess you could play Converging Wishes for like the memes and whatnot. You know, there's like an OTK with Majesty the Destructor, but now we got some actual cards to work with because there are new Stardust like spell and traps, like some cards that you can actually search and do some stuff with. So this card basically doesn't necessarily have to eat up your normal summon, can technically be an extender, and if nothing else, the second you summon it, it's going to pay for itself. So even if you have to discard it, or if discard something to summon it, it is going to pay you back with a search. The Stardust Trail is kind of like the counterpart, same type of summoning conditions. When this card is sent to the graveyard as material, like synchro material for a Stardust synchro monster or a warrior / Synchron, you get yourself a level 1 tuner, or excuse me, a level 1 token. I'm trolling. A level 1 token. Now that obviously is supposed to help you go into, you know, Majestic Star Dragon or the new one that we're going to talk about. So basically this is just like a stepping stone card. It's really only useful as being, or it's really only useful if you use it for material. That's essentially the whole reason. I don't think you run multiples of this card because it's not really like a starter, and I think it's a card where you only need to see like one copy of it essentially. The new cover card, the new boss monster, is a Shooting Majestic Star Dragon, and this is basically just a better version of the old Majestic Star Dragon. Number 1 has, I believe, the same stats or stats that are very similar. 4,000 attack. It is a world beater. It is a level 11, and I'm not gonna lie, I wish it was a level 10. I wish we just didn't have to go for the old Majestic Star Dragon at all. I don't even want to summon that. I just want to summon this new one because it's just better. Now, the thing about it is the first effect is copy pasted straight from the old one, where you get that effect negation on a monster. It's not a quick effect, but it doesn't target, so at least there's that. The second effect gives it a way higher ceiling. The old guy used to nuke your opponent's board, but this one is very similar to like Quasar. Basically it gains attacks if you have like a Stardust or a Synchro monster in your graveyard that specifically has Stardust in its text. I assume you're probably going to use Stardust to summon this, so there's a good chance that this guy is going to be able to make 2 attacks, and 2 attacks technically can be 8,000 damage with this card. Now it does have that same Omni negation that the old Majestic Star Dragon had, but this Omni negation is better because number 1, it summons itself back during the end phase, very similar to Stardust or Stardust Assault, but it's even better because it banishes your opponent's card and it banishes itself. Right now, banishing itself instead of tributing and sending itself to the graveyard is just better. It's not susceptible to called by the grave or DD Crow, Skullmeister, you know, all of those things that can disrupt it, Wakiro, so your opponent can just like take it out and you never get to summon it back. Obviously, it's much harder to disrupt things when they banish themselves as cost. So like this card has a significantly higher upside. I actually like this card. The only thing that I honestly don't like about it is simply the level. I wish it was level 10 and not level 11. I've always thought that level 11 is really kind of weird to work with. Like Star Eater has always been kind of a hard card to summon. Now we have Arriving Miracle, and I swear to goodness they are referencing the anime with this. I don't know if Yusei used this in the anime or what, but I remember very vividly when he ends up killing, or not killing, but he ends up beating Kiryu. He like, it's like he top decked, or he like somehow knew that Majestic Dragon was like on the top of his deck, and Yusei talks about needing to create a miracle, and he top decks it, and he doesn't even have it in his deck. That's weird. I think they're just basically referencing this, or referencing that scene in the anime with this card. This allows you, with the first effect, to stack a level 1 dragon on the top of your deck, which is kind of like what he kind of did with the Majestic Dragon in the anime, but obviously we're not going to play that. We're going to play the new version. So if you stack that, you know, you can draw it and then activate its effect to like special summon it and special summon another dragon. It says that Stardust and Synchro monsters that have Stardust in the name cannot be returned to the extra deck. I think that's specifically in there for Majestic Star Dragon because it had an effect where it could return itself to the extra deck to summon Stardust Dragon from your graveyard, if I'm not mistaken. So basically it's just kind of a way of summoning the Stardust for free without having to give up your Majestic Star Dragon. The third effect is really cool because if a Synchro monster is special summon, you can either draw a card or you can special summon a tuner from your graveyard, and you can actually activate both of those effects in the same turn. What I really like about that effect is, number 1, obviously it triggers the stack effect. Like if you stack the new Wish Dragon on top of your deck and then you draw a card, well, now you can resolve the effect. But in addition to that, you don't have to synchro summon that monster. It just says when a synchro monster is special summoned. So if your Stardust Dragons or your new shooting Majestic Dragons are coming back from the graveyard, you can still trigger the effect. So that is very, very nice. I think you got to play this card if you're going to play this deck, or if you're going to play the new, you know, shooting Majestic Dragon. I feel like you got to play that card specifically. Plus, it's probably going to pay you back. I mean, you're going to synchro summon at some point. So just draw a card and you basically break even. Anyways, the next one is Stardust Illuminate. This one says you can send a Stardust from your deck to the graveyard if you have a Stardust or a Synchro that specifically has Stardust on the field. You can summon that monster instead. So we talked about new Stardust monsters. Basically just like you can summon them from the graveyard. So if you have to foolish them, it's not the worst thing because they can be summoned from the grave. But if you just get to summon them from your deck, like obviously that's cool. The second effect allows you to level modulate with a Stardust monster. It can be them or it can be Stardust Dragon itself. Turning Stardust Dragon into a level 9 should make summoning the new shooting Majestic Star Dragon a lot easier. Again, that level 11 is a little difficult to work with, but if you can make your Stardust Dragon a level 9, then you can instantly just shoot up to level 11 by using the Wish Dragon, and then whatever the Wish Dragon summons, you know, you have obviously 9 plus 1 plus 1, that will be 11 stars. So, you know, definitely a card. It's got some potential. Second effect I definitely like. We have Majestic Absorption, which is, I mean, this is like referencing the Mech Lord arc with like the Grand Prix, essentially, that came after Dark Signers in the Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's anime. This card could have been so insane if it was a quick play, because if you have a Stardust or a Synchro that specifically requires Stardust, you can either equip the face-up monster your opponent controls to that Synchro that you have. You can attack directly, or if you run over a monster in battle, you get to do burn damage equivalent to that monster's original attack. This card, again, it's a spell card, and obviously it has very, very high offensive potential because the new shooting Majestic Star is 4,000 attack. Most of the time, it should be able to attack at least twice. If it can attack directly, you could just kill your opponent even through a bunch of monsters. So that's kind of cool. Or, you know, you can just snatch steal one of their monsters basically permanently, non-targeting, so out Dragoon and stuff like that. But if it was a quick play, it wouldn't have just been an offensive card. It actually would have been a really good defensive card. And I feel like Konami missed the boat on that. Like, this to me definitely should have been a defensive card to where I wouldn't always have to use my, you know, shooting Majestic Star Dragon's negation effect immediately. Maybe I could use this, then use that effect. But, you know, I digress. If you're going to go for like the all-in, maybe you're going to run one copy. If you're going for the control game, maybe don't even run any. The last card is Continuous Trap. Majestic Mirage, and this one says if a face-up Stardust or Synchro that has Stardust in its name activates its effect, or if it leaves the field to activate its effect, or by its own effect, you can apply one of these effects, but you can't use the same effect in the same turn. So you either get to special summon that monster, banish a monster your opponent controls or has in their graveyard, non-targeting, or all damage you take is halved. So this card has very high upside, but it specifically requires a Synchro. I think not even I think. The best application, obviously, is having the new Shooting Majestic Dragon, because here's the ideal situation. The ideal situation is just to shotgun this during your opponent's draw phase, pretty much negate the first thing your opponent throws at you with your Shooting Majestic Dragon, and then activate the effect of your Majestic Miracle and just summon that Majestic Dragon back, and then you can use another like negate, because its effect is not a hard once per turn, and even after you negate the second card, you can still trigger the other effects of this card. So you can either just like get the non-targeting banish for one of your opponent's monsters, and if they don't have a monster committed on the field at that point, you can just half all battle damage and make it so it's pretty much impossible for them to OTK you, even if you have like an open field. So I like the ceiling of this card, but the floor seems kind of low because, again, if you don't have a Synchro monster, this card basically does absolutely nothing. But overall, I like this new stuff. I really like the cover card. I like the new Shooting Majestic Star Dragon. Wish it was a level 10. I'm going to keep saying that because it would have just made it so we didn't have to summon the old one. But it definitely feels like they are fleshing out and actually trying to make like the Majestic stuff playable, because I remember the 5Ds era, it was not playable back then. Anyways, whatever you guys think, you leave it in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching as always.